Picture this. The King of England battling cancer in the shadows of Buckingham Palace, while his wife lives in a separate million-dollar home 40 miles away. Tonight, we're pulling back the velvet curtain on one of the most shocking arrangements in royal history. The whispers started months ago. Palace staff exchanging worried glances, royal watchers raising eyebrows. And now, the rumors have exploded across social media like wildfire. Are King Charles and Queen Camilla heading for divorce? But here's what nobody's telling you. The truth behind their marriage split home is far more complex. It's heartbreaking and surprisingly strategic than anyone imagined. Let me take you back to where it all began. Not to their wedding day in 2005, not to their first public appearance, but to a conversation that happened 20 years before they ever said "I do." A conversation that would change everything. It was 1995. Camilla Parker Bowles had just finalized her divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles. Charles was still trapped in his failing marriage to Diana. But even then, even in the chaos of their separate worlds falling apart, these two made a promise to each other. If we ever get the chance to be together, Camilla reportedly said during one of their secret phone calls, "I need to keep my independence. I need my own space." Charles, who had spent his entire life under the microscope, who had never known privacy, understood immediately. "Whatever it takes," he replied. Whatever makes this work, that conversation would become the foundation of the most unconventional royal marriage in modern history. Fast forward to 2025. Charles is king, Camilla is queen, and they're living exactly as they promised each other they would 3 decades ago. But now, with cancer ravaging the king's body and rumors swirling about their relationship, that promise is being tested like never before. Here's what's really happening behind palace doors. Every morning, Charles wakes up alone at Clarence's house, not because Camilla doesn't love him, not because they're fighting, but because they made a pact. They are both independent people. They don't live in each other's pockets, spending a healthy chunk of their time apart in their country homes. Camilla's sanctuary, Ray Mill House in Wiltshire, a $1.2 million Georgian manor that she bought in 1995 and has never given up. It's her escape, her refuge, the one place where she's not Queen Camilla, but simply Camilla. But lately, something's changed. The balance they've maintained for 20 years is shifting. And it's all because of 4 terrifying words that changed everything. "Your Majesty has cancer." The diagnosis came in February 2024. Charles had gone in for routine prostate surgery, standard procedure for a man his age. But doctors found something else, something they weren't looking for. The palace announced it simply: the king has cancer. What they didn't tell you was how Camilla reacted when she got the call. She was at Ray Mill House, tending to her garden, when her phone rang. Charles's voice was different, quiet, vulnerable in a way she'd rarely heard in their decades together. "Darling," he said, "we need to talk." The conversation that followed would test their unconventional arrangement in ways neither of them had imagined. Suddenly, the woman who had fought for her independence, who had insisted on keeping her separate home, found herself torn between 2 worlds. Stay at his side and abandon the very thing that made their marriage work, or maintain their agreement and risk being seen as abandoning him in his darkest hour. The media, of course, saw only what they wanted to see. A queen who wasn't by her husband's bedside. A marriage in crisis. Divorce papers being drawn up in secret. But the truth was far more nuanced. A bitter rift has been caused between King Charles and his wife Camilla, who is in a state of alarm because he has disregarded her pleadings to take a break from his rigorous schedule. Sources close to the palace revealed that Camilla was desperate for Charles to slow down, to focus on his health. to let her help him through his treatment. But Charles, stubborn as ever, refused. "I am the king," he reportedly told her during one heated exchange. "I don't have the luxury of stepping back." "And I am your wife," Camilla shot back. "I don't have the luxury of watching you kill yourself." That fight, witnessed by only a handful of palace staff, would fuel months of speculation about their marriage. Here's what really happened next. Instead of moving in full-time to care for Charles, Camilla did something unexpected. She doubled down on their original agreement. She kept Ray Milhouse. She maintained her independence. But she also created a new routine: 3 days a week at Clarence House with Charles. For days at Ray Mill, managing her own duties and giving them both breathing room. It wasn't abandonment. It was survival. Royal biographer Angela Levin explained it perfectly. "They're both independent people and don't mind time apart. The fact they don't live in each other's pockets is one of the many reasons their marriage works." But the public didn't see strategy. They saw separation. And the rumors began to spiral out of control. By spring 2025, the whispers had become roars. Social media exploded with claims of secret divorce proceedings. YouTube channels with millions of subscribers declared the royal marriage dead. King Charles ill, often seen as the epitome of patience and tradition, has officially announced his divorce from Camilla. Queen Consort claimed one viral video with absolutely no factual basis. The palace's response: silence. They had learned long ago that denying false rumors only gave them more oxygen. But behind closed doors, Charles and Camilla were laughing. Not because the rumors were funny, but because they were so far from the truth. "Darling," Charles said to Camilla during one of their private dinners at Clarence House, "they think we're getting divorced, but I can't imagine anyone I'd rather be married to." Camilla smiled, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "Even if I do live 40 miles away half the time. Especially because you live 40 miles away half the time." That conversation, shared by a palace insider who asked to remain anonymous, reveals the heart of their relationship. They're not living apart because their marriage is failing. They're living apart because it's the only way their marriage can succeed. Think about it. Charles has spent his entire life being watched, scrutinized, analyzed. Every meal, every conversation, every moment dissected by the media. The idea of having someone in his space 24/7, even someone he loves, would be suffocating. And Camilla, she came into this marriage as a mature woman with her own life, her own interests, her own identity. She wasn't going to lose herself to become just the king's wife. Their arrangement isn't a sign of a marriage in trouble. It's a masterclass in how two strong-willed people can build a life together without losing themselves in the process. At Clarence House, they are privileged to have their own bedrooms as well as their shared bedroom, royal expert Jenny Chard revealed. Even when they're in the same house, they maintain separate spaces, separate sanctuaries. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn, as Charles's cancer treatment continued through 2024 and into 2025, something beautiful began to happen. The very arrangement that critics called cold and calculating began to show its true purpose. When Charles was having his worst days, battling the side effects of chemotherapy, Camilla wasn't there hovering over him, making him feel like an invalid. She gave him space to be vulnerable without an audience, even an audience of one. When she needed to cry, to process her own fear about potentially losing him, she could retreat to Ray Milhouse and fall apart in private. Then return to him strong and supportive. King Charles and Queen Camilla hosted a special reception on Wednesday as they celebrated cancer charities, and in his most moving comments since, the monarch reflected on his own journey, a journey that Camilla supported not by abandoning her independence, but by maintaining it. Their separate homes became their strength, not their weakness. Royal expert Ingrid Seward put it perfectly before she married Charles. She made a pact to keep her own home, her own identity. That pact isn't breaking their marriage. It's saving it. But the public remains skeptical. How could a couple truly love each other and choose to live apart? How could a wife support her husband through cancer from 40 miles away? The answer came during Charles's most recent public appearance. It was April 2025, and he was addressing a gathering of cancer charities. His voice was strong, his demeanor confident. But those who knew him well could see something else. Peace for the first time in months. King Charles looked at peace, and in the audience, sitting in the front row, was Camilla. Not because she had to be there as queen consort, but because she chose to be there as his wife. After the event, as they walked to their separate cars, Charles heading back to Clarence's house, Camilla to Ray Mill. House photographers captured a moment that said everything. Charles paused at his car door and looked back at Camilla. She caught his eye and smiled. Not a formal royal smile, but the smile of a woman deeply in love with her husband. No words were exchanged. None were needed. That photograph, buried in the back pages of most newspapers, told the real story of their marriage. Not perfect, not conventional, but absolutely, undeniably real. So here's the truth behind the divorce rumors. Here's what's really happening in that $1.2 million house in Wiltshire and the royal residences across London. Charles and Camilla aren't living apart because their marriage is failing. They're living apart because it's the only way their marriage can thrive. They're not headed for divorce. They're 20 years into the most successful royal marriage of the modern era, built on a foundation of mutual respect, independence, and a deep understanding of what each person needs to be happy. The cancer diagnosis hasn't broken them apart. If anything, it's proven that their unconventional approach to marriage isn't just working, it's thriving under the most difficult circumstances imaginable. When Charles needs space to be vulnerable, he has it. When Camilla needs to maintain her own identity, separate from the crown, she has it. And when they come together, it's by choice, not obligation. That's not the recipe for divorce. That's the recipe for a love story that's lasted through decades of scandal, criticism, and now life-threatening illness. The marriage split home isn't a sign of separation. It's a symbol of two people who understand that sometimes the greatest act of love is giving someone the freedom to be themselves. Critics will continue to whisper. Rumors will continue to swirl. YouTube videos will continue to claim they have inside information about secret divorce proceedings. But at Ray Mill, house in Wiltshire, Queen Camilla tends her garden and plans her next visit to Clarence's house, and at Clarence's house in London, King Charles works at his desk and looks forward to his wife's next call. Their love story isn't ending. It's evolving. And perhaps, in a world where couples feel pressured to be together every moment, where independence is seen as a threat to intimacy, Charles and Camilla are showing us a different way. A way where love doesn't mean losing yourself, where marriage doesn't mean sacrificing your identity, where sometimes the strongest couples are the ones brave enough to live apart so they can truly be together. The divorce rumors? Pure fiction. The reality? A love story that's more complex, more mature, and more enduring than any fairy tale. What do you think? Are Charles and Camilla proving that modern marriage needs new rules? Or is their arrangement really as unconventional as it seems? Share your thoughts below. I read every single comment and love hearing your perspectives on these royal revelations. And if you're fascinated by the hidden truths behind royal headlines like I am, make sure you're subscribed to Luminoir. We're just getting started, uncovering the stories the mainstream media won't tell you. Until next time, keep questioning what you read. Keep digging for the truth. And remember, sometimes the most shocking revelation is that there's no scandal at all.